Hello and welcome to another episode of Agape Ministries. Today I decided to take you on another beautiful walk to show you the sunset in this garden, and we're going to talk about Agape Love, which is the highest form of unconditional divine love of God. This is the force that holds all things together in this universe. That's right, agape is the Greek word for the most perfect, highest form of perfect love of God. So scientifically speaking, folks, this is the type of force that the astrophysicists and astronomers called dark matter or dark energy, that represents approximately almost 90% of the mass of the universe. Not the physical objects such as stars, galaxies, nebulae, but the invisible space between them is actually a tangible physical representation of God's energy that they have dubbed dark matter or dark energy. So now, how does it relate to us here on earth, folks? We're going to discuss it when it comes to your being nervous or stressed out, or not being able to hold the job, or keep attention span where it should be, or being too jumpy or too short with your relatives, friends, family members. So folks, we're going to discuss how to be balanced, because agape love goes a long way, not just showing love or kindness to your friends or family members, but to also just being balanced and happy in this world, because that's what God, the creator of this universe, wants you to be. We're just completely have lost connection to the ideal program that runs in our DNA, in our inside of us, that is essentially broken. Our DNA is broken, and we're going to discuss how to become more balanced, more kind, more loving towards others and ourselves. And essentially, we're going to discuss how to enjoy life, long story short. So the purpose of our ministry is to reconnect us with God, with His qualities, with His properties of being kind, loving, happy. Everything that is positive comes from God, from the creator of this universe. Everything that is negative comes from the other force that is biblically described as demons, or they're called Iblis in Arabic, in the Muslim tradition, Iblis or Shaitan. And so they are the ones who wreak havoc in our daily lives. In order to fight them or deal with them or not allow them to cause any negativity, you've tuned into the right channel. You're going to learn how to deal with all of your problems, and most of us have multiple problems on that front. And we're going to discuss how to show kindness as a tool, if you will, or as a mechanism to extend God's favor in our life. So for instance, when you see a homeless person on the street and you choose to give them some money, whether you realize it or not, you are extending a tremendous amount of divine, supernatural blessing upon your life and upon the lives of your immediate family members. So you're covering a lot of sins or transgressions committed by you or your family members by just doing that act of kindness to another human being without judging or prejudging. Many people, unfortunately, today, they accuse those people of making a living or earning a living by just pretending to be homeless on the street. Folks, we cannot do that. We cannot simply do that. It's wrong. If somebody asks, we better just give. We better just give. And if you can't give from the bottom of your heart, you better not give at all, because it's wrong to give and then doubt whether or not the person will use it properly or go buy alcohol or drugs. You can't do that, because today we're in the position to give or bless another human being. Tomorrow we might be, folks, we might be in their shoes, which means we hope that if we ended up on the street like they are, the homeless people, that somebody would be kind enough to reach into their pocket and give us some money. You understand? It's such a, especially now, folks, especially now in this crazy times that we live in, absolutely tumultuous, unstable times. Everything is topsy-turvy. The good has become bad and the bad has become good, and this stable economic conditions are the things of the past. So today you might have a job, you can earn a living. Tomorrow you might end up on the streets, literally, folks. This is what happened in the United States at the time of the pandemic. 40 million Americans have lost their jobs. Just imagine, picture, almost overnight, 40 million Americans have lost their jobs, which is absolutely unfathomable if you think about it. They were more or less adjusted. Many people have lost their jobs, and many small business owners have lost their businesses. But in the end, majority of people have found a way to adjust without taking it to the streets and causing a revolution or change of power through violence. So thank God. But folks, this may or may not be this way very long, because we live in the end times. The dark forces are actually preparing the stage for the introduction of the Antichrist, which I'm going to make another video, a separate video on that topic. Today we're going to talk about agape love and how to reach your sort of a balanced equilibrium, homeostasis, if you will, which is another Greek word for balance or equilibrium. So what is the secret to reaching that sort of a happy side? And I will share everything with you, folks. This is unscripted. Pastor Sam here is walking and sharing with you all of the knowledge that I received on the other side, which allow me to tell you a story. When I was 5 years old, my family and I, we were driving in the mountains, and we stopped for a pit stop, which we planned for only a few minutes. As everybody got out of the car, including myself, as I put my foot on the ground, I realized that I stepped into a different dimension, or in other sort of like a multi-dimensional reality, if you will. And in that reality, folks, in that multi-dimensional different world, I realized that it wasn't Earth, it was something else. So I instinctively asked the question, where am I? And I received an answer instantly, but it wasn't in English. In the meantime, on Earth, my mother was hysterical. She was frantically looking for me. My father was trying to cheer her up by saying, perhaps, our son is hiding under the car, which was not possible. They looked everywhere. I disappeared from their sight, and I was gone for about an hour, their time, Earth time, while for me, on the other side, there was no time. So let me tell you about my experience on the other side. Now, what I have learned, and what I brought back from the other side. On the other side, the language is mathematics. It's not a human language. You can immediately forget about Hebrew or Akkadian language. There is no human side to God. God speaks mathematics, higher mathematics, the most beautiful language in the universe. Everything that God has built, it's based on the principles of mathematics. For instance, all of our galaxies are spiral. The way the hair grows on the back of your head is spiral. The human DNA helix is spiral. When you flush your water, it has the whirlpool is spiral. Everything, if you just picture anything, it's got that sort of a Fibonacci numbers and whatever else you want to call it, spiral characteristic. That is, in a nutshell, simplistically speaking, the language of God. So God speaks highest form of mathematical language, everything. The most beautiful language in the universe, which here could be understood only by just a few, perhaps astrophysicists or mathematicians. On the other side, this is the language that is spoken by God and all the souls that go to a special place where they are located in proximity to God, which in itself is incredible bliss, because the closer you get to God's domain, you see the uncreated light, brightest light you can imagine, which, by the way, is 1 billion times brighter than our sun. Our sun is but a piece of glass that sparkles dimly compared to the light that emanates from God. So back to my experience, folks. So as I was asking questions, I would receive an answer instantaneously. And then because there is no time on the other side, I would actually receive, I would ask billions of questions and I would receive billions of answers instantaneously, in full, complete answers to all of my questions. And things like, who are we? Where am I? Where is God? Is there a God? Who is God? Who created God? Where do we go after we die? Why do we die? Why there are 4 races, Mongoloid, Negroid, Caucasian race, and Australoid race? Who created them, the races? And all other most detailed questions and answers that happened during that eternal session is absolutely priceless. I was able to retain most of that information and bring it back to earth. So as I was ready to return to this reality, this physical reality where my parents were, I decided to ask this final question, folks. You might say the most important question before returning or before coming to this world. Now imagine being in that eternal bliss of that eternal knowledge when you are known and you know them all, both God and all the souls that are located in that sort of a portal that they get plugged into, and they all sort of communicate as one. And those who, shall we say, misbehave, or the sinners who violate God's tenets or God's laws, they go to a different place. There is hell, or Gehenna. It's, using scientific language, it is the black hole that is located at the center of every galaxy. Since we call our galaxy the Milky Way, at the very center of our galaxy is a neutron star that actually contracted to the size of a very small object, even though the mass of that star is beyond human description. There are not enough zeros to describe how large did an object that simply contracted on its own with the forces of supernatural forces, and the gravitational pull would not even allow the light to escape from that place of hell. So indeed, even the human souls and spirits would torment at the center of the black hole for all eternity. So in other words, the blissful souls, remember, I was only 5 years old. I was very innocent. That's why I believe I was allowed to go see God's throne and the other dimension, the beautiful place. If I was an adult, folks, I'm being honest with you, we're not ready. This is why adults with their defective thinking, defective DNA, and sort of problematic, everything that we touch turns into something not so good. We're just not worthy to be in God's presence. This is why only little children up to the age of about 7 approximately are innocent enough to see the face of God, or communicate, or see that other reality, or be allowed to visit that other reality and then return back to earth as these sort of a beacons of hope, or these avatars of goodness and kindness and love, that they can bring back and emanate from them, so that this civilization would not collapse. This is what our ministry is all about, is to help this civilization survive, to help you if you're struggling with anger issues, with pornography issues, with any other sort of a criminal inclinations, or if you're any other sinful, amoral, immoral kind of desires. The solution is to see God face to face by going on a 7-day diet. So you go on a prayer and meditation diet for 7 days, and if you cannot get away from your family or friends, your obligations, we highly recommend that you go to a special community called the Madonna House in Canada. It was founded by Catherine de Hook Dougherty. She came to Canada in 1921 AD, and she founded that beautiful community. It's a Eastern Orthodox / Catholic community that promotes that kind of they call it the desert experience, quote unquote desert, meaning this is what the early church fathers used to go to into the desert to test their spirit, to discipline their spirits and bodies, of course, and to reach the higher levels, spiritual levels with God. So madonnahouse.org, look them up. I highly recommend them. This is in case if you cannot get away from your daily busy life in North America or wherever you live, wherever you could be, in Europe, you could be in Africa, in Asia, in the Middle East. If you can't get away, you could travel to that community in Canada. They'll provide you with a Bible. You'll stay there for a week or two, however long you like, and they'll keep an eye on you, make sure you're okay. They'll give you water, give you a candle, and you would be doing your 7-day or 40-day, if you wish, if you're ready for that, 7-day retreat, a spiritual retreat. And by the end of that retreat, I try to do it myself once a year. By the end of the 7 days, essentially you're pure. You become crystal pure. God makes you as white as snow. Your spirit shines, and you're able to read people's thoughts, and you're actually able to reconnect with God's reality much better. You realize that 80 to 90% of your thoughts inside your head are not your own. They come from the other side, from other people, from other entities. Yes, even entities such as demons, who operate, by the way, those entities operate through your closest friends and family members. So if you think your spouse, men, if you think that you have a wife at home, keep in mind, I'm going to use my own example here. When I used to fight with my wife, and I would get away to a restaurant, and the restaurant that I've been many times, suddenly on the day when I was fighting with my wife, that same waitress looks extra cute. She wears an extra shorter skirt. She uses an extra smaller blouse that pushes up her breasts to a different elevation. And she suddenly gives me a note that says, come to a party, which will turn into an after party. Here's my address, here's my phone number. Be there or be square. Now imagine if you get that kind of a note, what a tempting proposition on a day when you had a big fight with your wife. Now as a man, you'd say, wow, this waitress looks like heaven sent, right? Well, think about it. Who's behind it? Use your brain, folks, please. Use your spiritual eyes. Open your spiritual eyes to a new dimension. Who is interested in you actually participating in that kind of activity? The darker side is all a charade. It's all very well camouflaged, kind of it's all not real, folks. You have to have your spiritual discernment, the spirit of discernment, to give you a clue to be careful. So you might be asking, Pastor Sam, what did you do with that waitress? Did you go to that party and the after party? The answer is no. I knew better at that time, even at that time, that this was all a setup, folks. It was 100% beautifully design, you have to hand it to the dark side. Beautifully designed setup. Everything looks pretty real, but it's not. Same with our financial system today. Everything looks pretty real, as far as they're printing trillions of dollars. They're no longer billions, but trillions of dollars. And everything looks kind of good on the surface, but folks, it's going to backfire in the next 6 months or year. It's going to collapse. And when this collapses, they're going to introduce a new currency. It's called central bank digital currency, based on the blockchain platform similar to Bitcoin, but it won't be Bitcoin. Bitcoin will go down to zero, folks. So you better, if you invested in Bitcoin, you better get out right before they introduce the digital dollar, or the central bank digital currency. That's what it's called. When they introduce it, everything will collapse. The dollar will still dominate, except it will be a digital form. Cash will no longer be accepted anywhere. It will literally become paper, folks. And the digital dollar will allow the new world order setup to monitor your every move. They'll know every step that you make along the path of when you make a payment. So it will be a better tracking system. Anyway, I'm off topic slightly. So back to the conversation of me being on the other side and receiving this knowledge of who we are, what we're doing on this planet, what is the meaning of life. And so the question was, right before I came back to bring you this information, folks, I asked this final question. Final question was, why doesn't everybody have access to this information? Why doesn't everybody see this beautiful world of what I witnessed? Because it's in front of under our noses, so to speak. It's under our noses. It's right in front of us, folks. It's that other dimension that is those gateways that I've accessed. It's right everywhere. We just don't see it. Just like when you picture an animal, if you have a pet at home, and let's say if you wanted to film them, you set up your camera or a phone, and it films your pet. And your pet looks at the camera when you leave the room. There's nobody in the room but your pet and the camera. And then you watch it carefully. They carefully look at the camera, but they can't figure out with their brain, with their limited power, thinking capacity. They can't figure out that this is a device that records them. They might have an inkling, you might say, well, perhaps, but they can't figure out that is a device that records their image in a digital format, and then you are gonna watch them later. They can't figure it out. They're in the same way, folks, exactly the same way. There are portals everywhere. We're looking at them, but we can't unlock them. This is what the Bible calls the gateway to the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. That entryway, I was granted access because I believe I was simply an innocent soul, a little boy that had to come back, receive that knowledge, and propagate that knowledge or share that knowledge with you, so that you have a more balanced life full of kindness and love. And so that's why our channel is dedicated mostly to agape love and kindness as a derivative of that, as a sort of as a sister of love. If you can't express love, at least you should be able to show kindness, which is a sister of love. So the question I asked, why don't they all have access to that information, which is so readily available to anyone and everyone? We're just practically walked through those portals, through those gateways. It's everywhere, folks. The answer was because we here, the adults, not the children, but the adults, are not ready. Because we, the adults who are alive here, are going to misuse this information for something bad, for something negative, for something dubious, for something nefarious, for something that we could abuse another human being, or we will set up some kind of a system that will enslave another human being with a superior knowledge. In other words, everything we touch, folks, is usually not so positive, but negative. Everything that we touch turns into something negative. And this is why we're being kept safer by us adults not having access to that information. So I'm the keeper of that sacred knowledge because I was a little boy, an innocent boy at heart, and I used to feed animals with all the food that my mother would set up on the table, you see. We lived on the first floor, so I would throw the chunks of meat to the cats or whoever the animals that would come up, and they would just line up outside. I was just a little boy, like 3 or 4. I remember that vividly, and so that shows you the mentality. Of course, my mother wanted me to eat all the food, so she was very creative, and so she started to read me books so that I wouldn't be distracted to go to the window and share my food with some stray animals, stray cats, So she started to read me the children's books, and I would be so captivated, so I wouldn't think of getting up and going to share my food. Anyway, that's just a story that we as innocent children, we have access to that reality. But as adults, we do not, because we already have a tainted mind, a tainted spirit, if you will. It's no longer pure. So back to my story, that was the answer, because we're tainted here as adults. This is why we don't have full access. Only the few special souls who were given this access at an early age. Like in my case, I was 5 years of age. It's a tremendous privilege to be allowed into the halls of the kingdom of God, into his throne, and to witness his uncreated light, the most brightest light that you can imagine, which is, again, it's beyond human words, beyond description. It would blind you, even though you don't have eyes to see on the other side. You're just a spirit. It is so bright. The light of God is the source of all light, love, kindness, beauty, power. And folks, I have to say justice, or what we would in this reality would associate as anger or wrath. So the wrath of God was poured on the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because they went the other way. They had created their own kind of they had created their own mentality, and as today some people say, don't tell me what to do. So they had their own lifestyle, and God cannot be mocked. He set up all the rules, and those rules better be followed, or else there are consequences. So he dropped a thermonuclear weapon through the 2 angels that visited Sodom and Gomorrah and destroyed them all, because there were archaeological findings that confirmed that the temperature rose. Everything was scorched to an incredibly glass-like state, or the temperature rose up to 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit or something of that nature. And those cities where the Sodom and Gomorrah was located, there was nothing left. It's a huge sort of a nuclear war type of scorched, scarred area in the desert. So that's how God deals with those who never listen and those who stand in the way. So, but the hope, remember the theme of our ministry on this channel and this message is Agape Love, which is the highest form of God's life, love, kindness, and we can relate to that if we will be what I learn on the other side, on God's frequency. So what is the frequency of God, folks, you might ask? Well, the frequency of God is simply a scientific way of saying what today people call being on somebody's wavelength, or connecting with someone, vibing with someone. It's something that the frequency of God is the most beautiful place. Like I said, if you have an animal at home, perhaps sometimes you notice that they bring out the best of you, and even at the worst moments, at the time of your betrayal, or when you went through a divorce, or if you had a death in the family and your pets at home, they feel that, and they sort of try to cheer you up a little bit. Well, it's a certain frequency that you would tune in. Now imagine the frequency of God is the most beautiful thing that you should aim for and achieve in your life at least once, by going on those 7-day meditative retreats or prayers and fasting and meditation, remember, to the madonnahouse.org, or go to Canada if you cannot escape your daily obligations or family members at home. Now, if you are able to do the 7-day meditation at home, it's very simple. You just get up in the morning, you don't watch TV, you don't turn on your computer, you don't even touch your phone. Everything has to be turned off. It's you, preferably before the sun rises. You say meditative prayers over your filtered water that's marinated in a glass jar, never plastic, in your refrigerator, with 3 slices of lemon, because lemon has antiseptic properties. So you say your prayers. It's an ancient tradition over your glass of water. It's very important. Say your prayers, then you stay vertical after you drink the water for about half an hour to 45 minutes. You don't sit down, you don't lay down, because the digestive process would start. There is a certain valve that opens in your intestines. So you want to, long story short, you want to stay vertical, let the water be absorbed properly. You don't look at the food, you don't smell the food, because you don't want the digestive process to start. You don't want to look at the food, period, because you're fasting. Remember, for a whole week you don't touch even a salad. So folks, the idea there is to slowly get on the frequency of God by fasting and saying your prayers for 7 days straight. The only thing that you can listen to that would be quite appropriate is Gregorian chants. If you like them, you're in luck. If you don't like them, just be silent. You don't talk to people. If you have to email somebody, that's understandable. Do what you must. But you don't talk. You don't open your mouth to talk to another human being. If you have to go to a store, you carry a little card in your pocket and you say, you just have to say, you cannot talk, please give me this or that. So prepare a card, but you don't utter a word. This will be your 7-day vow of silence, just like a monk, temporarily for you, of course. For them, it's when they take a vow of silence, they take it for either for life or for a period of 10, 20, or 40 years. But for you, it will be only 7 days. You might think, not as bad, right? Well, you'll see how bad it is, how hard it is to not talk, not to utter a word, a peep out of your mouth. So, folks, the idea is to do fasting for 7 days. On the 7th day, you'll realize that up to 90% of your thoughts are not yours. You'll be peeling off as an onion all the layers of nonsense, garbage that is deposited into your soul, into your psyche, by society, by your friends, family, and the media. Even if you don't watch TV or social media, there's still a lot of deposits which will peel off from your soul, and then you'll realize finally on the 7th day, this is you, and your thoughts are much different than they are now. So this is why you hear the term, you have to sober up. Not so much that you're drunk right now, but you are drunk in the world. Remember, the Bible says we're in the world, but we're not of the world. Well, this is what it means. We have to get to the level of mind of Christ by renewing our minds. Remember, that's what the Apostle Paul wrote. So we have to be renewing our minds by these kinds of practices. And if you were to go to a park, I highly recommend every day jogging, walking, you put your hand on a tree, and for half an hour you just stand there. You don't have to hug the tree, but you put your hand, and that's enough for half an hour to meditate, because the tree, it's a part of God's nature. And then as you will be, it will help you focus to get on God's frequency. I promise you. It's one of the, if you will, it's, for the lack of a better word, it's a shortcut that will help you get to the frequency of God quicker. And then once you get on the frequency of God, you have arrived. The next step would be essentially, again, what's written in the Bible, the signs of the Spirit. You would be able to heal the sick. You will be able to walk on hot coals and be bitten by scorpions, and it will not hurt you. Bitten by snakes, and etc. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'm just saying those are the signs that will accompany you. You will be on a different level, spiritually speaking. But for those who are just want to get rid of their depression, we're covering that now. So if you're sad, depressed, a breathing exercise would help. it's a tangible way to disrupt your shallow breathing. We don't breathe properly in the modern day. We breathe too shallow, so you have to disrupt that pattern and introduce deep breaths, and you pause between between inhaling and exhaling. You do a 5-10 second pause, and then through much exercise, once you arrive to a 45 second pause, and you would be the healthiest person alive. No virus will be able to attack you. You will be in a tip-top shape, because that's what God has given us, this breath of life that controls all of our functions. We just don't give it much credit, but it is. I'll demonstrate right now, so you don't even have to Google anywhere online. I'll be raising my hand here to show you the movement of your chest, so you know how to inhale, how much to pause. Remember, the longer you pause, the better. You cannot be doing that while driving. You have to be sitting in your living room on a sofa or in bed or in a armchair, because you might get dizzy. You never know if you haven't done this exercise before. So, breathing exercise to remove depression and all autoimmune disease and other ailments, folks. You ready? So what you do is you simply you inhale, pause, and you exhale. So you go and so on and so forth, folks. This is just a demonstration how to perfect your health by adding a simple exercise. So the next step, Pastor Sam is being practical for you, covering all bases. The next step, very important, this is the most spiritual part of your journey here to reach Agape Love, to reach God's throne, to reach God's frequency, is to give alms, meaning to help the homeless people on the street who are asking for help. Yes. Everywhere you go, folks, everywhere you go, I'm going to show you here in my pocket. Everywhere I go, I always have a money clip like that. So you have 20s, 5s, 10s, dollar bills, whatever the currency that you can use and whatever money you can give. But you always carry this with you, no matter where you go. Have it in your pocket, in your attaché case, in your bag, in your purse, in your every jacket that I own. It has that kind of a money clip inside, with plenty of cash for anybody who is looking for help, folks. The reason for that is by giving to the poor, to the homeless, you would be richly blessed by God, because it is written that sometimes by entertaining strangers, we unwittingly have entertained angels. So God sends his angels to test your spirit, to test your heart, to see if you're to see if what you're saying is indeed is the case and matches reality with, when the rubber meets the road. Do you preach what you do? You do what you preach, essentially? If you say you gotta. So let me tell you a story, folks. A few weeks ago, I was at a post office, one of those 24/7 centers where you walk in with a key and there's a little hallway. And as I was getting my mail, I was talking. This woman started talking to me. A lovely woman just decided to share a story. It was raining outside, and so I said, why not? So she talked and talked. I didn't talk. I was just listening, folks. And this woman at a post office shared a story, how she moved, and then finally at the end, while I, was ready to leave, I said, okay, I wish you all the best. And then she said at the very end, folks, at the very end, she said, and now she described what happened to her. She was homeless. And she was very well dressed, and you would have never thought that she was homeless, folks. She didn't look the part. And me with this money clip and everything else, folks, I made the biggest mistake of my life. And I feel very bad about it, very, very bad. My spirit is just to this day hurts that I left the post office without giving her $20 bill or $100 bill or $200, something that I was able to give her. You understand? I was able to give her, but I didn't. Why? Folks, I'm the one who preaches helping those who are in need. It's because, folks, let me share with you, it's because you have to be prepared 100%. At any given point in time, if somebody approaches you and asking you for help, you just offer it. You give them whatever you have, folks. Because in the Bible it says, by entertaining strangers, sometimes unwittingly, we entertain angels. And I don't know if that woman was an angel disguised as a woman. It's very possible. The point is, I have failed that very test, the stuff that I preach, and it's very unfortunate. And to this day, it grieves my soul. You know, it grieves my soul. I left, and why didn't I go back, folks? It's because perhaps it's a pride issue, perhaps it's a stubbornness that we all have. I'm stubborn just as much as you. So we have to be more willing to sacrifice or compromise, is what I meant to say. We should be willing to compromise all of our pride and stubbornness and all of those, especially the pride issue, folks. We have to be humble. Humility is what God loves. And so I should have gone back and I should have just given her the money on the spot. But if I missed that opportunity, I should have gone back, folks. And I didn't. And that's a very, very kind of it grieves my heart to this day. And I'm sharing this with you so that you wouldn't make the same mistake, folks. And this is why I urge you to go out and give as much as you can, a few dollars, a couple $100, a few $1,000, whatever God has blessed you with. But we all have different income levels. Whatever God has blessed you, but give from the heart. And if you are sort of ready to give right now, you don't want to wait until you go out and seek out a homeless person under the bridge. You'll see a QR code on your screen that you can scan with your phone. And if you don't know how to do that, there's a link below the video that you can click on. You will be taken to a website where you could click on a button that says Share Love. And you can share your love by securely donating any amount that you wish. Be it $5 or $50 or $500 or $1,000. It doesn't make any difference, folks, as long as you give from the heart to us or to another ministry or to a homeless person. So the only reason why you see the QR code is so that to not lose that timing. Remember how I lost the timing with a woman at the post office, and to this day it grieves my soul, folks. And that's why, if you're ready to give, follow your heart, scan the QR code, or click on the link below the video so you're taken to a website so you could safely donate and fulfill that call to make a donation to support the widows. Our ministry supports homeless people, widows, and orphans. Specifically, we work with, there's a wonderful orphanage called, well, these days they're called children's homes, of course. Everything is different today, but in the old days we simply called them orphanages. So there's an orphanage in Arkansas called ABC Homes. It stands for Arkansas Baptist Children's Homes. It's a beautiful ministry, very well run, and we just heard back from, we support them regularly, and we heard there was a message that I saw from the CEO of that children's home that they're in a financial need. He shared with all of the supporters the need. So folks, if you can also go to help them, or help us will help them. We're all one big family. We're all interconnected in this universe. If you are willing to act, if God has blessed you and you're ready to share your love, your wealth, your kindness, you can again do it right now by scanning the QR code that you see on your screen, or by clicking on the link below, and you will be supporting us, and we will be supporting all of the orphanages, and through you many people will be blessed, and God will bless you 100-fold for your kindness. You understand? Because God sees everything that is done in secret, and this is what the secret formula that I wanted to share with you. This is why I encourage everyone to carry some cash on them in their pocket, in their jackets, in their bags, attaché case, in their purses if you're a woman. Just anybody who asks, you just give them without prejudging or judging them that they're going to misuse your gift or they're going to go buy alcohol or drugs. Please, folks, don't do that. Please, please, please don't prejudge them. Don't. Just give from the bottom of your heart if you can, or else don't even give at all, because it's the worst thing if you will give and attach your sort of a negative mental judgment to the money you've given them, because everything in this world is how should I put it so that you'll be able to absorb this. Everything is material, folks. Everything is material. Every wish that every thought that you have, folks, that attaches to your words, to your objects, is going to materialize, and then actually it's going to fire back on your life, in your life. So all these negativities that you've experienced and fights that you've had perhaps is a backfiring of something that you've said or judged somebody wrongly, incorrectly, or inappropriately. So just have a pure heart if you can. Be balanced. Support everybody who asks of you on the street, anywhere. Sometimes, folks, when I see a homeless person sleeping in that post office, anywhere, and they're sleeping, folks, I actually sneak up on them and I put that $20 bill or $50 bill into their kind of a hand. So when they wake up, folks, when they wake up, they'll realize the first thing in their hand was, folks, not just money, but the answer from God. Because before they close their eyes to go to sleep, they've prayed to God. God, please, are there any kind people left in this world? Show me a sign, perhaps help me. And when he wakes up, folks, and he sees there's money in his hand, he will praise God. And this is why I want to go unnoticed. I don't want them to see me or to say thank you to me. I want them to praise God. You understand? This is how it's the best way, folks. The best way to give is to give when you're not noticed, when nobody even knows who you are. You just bless another human being who is in need, and that person, I guarantee you, will praise God, because we all come from God, even though there are various degrees of our connection to God on this planet. But through people like me who are here as avatars, who have been to the other side, who have seen God face to face, we're here to promote that message of love, kindness. And I'm here to tell you that even a person who's even never prayed to God, when he experiences kindness, folks, he will give praise to God. He will say thank God. He will tear up. He will probably have tears in his eyes, and he will say something beautiful, a gratitude, a prayer of gratitude towards God and towards kindness of human race. He will have hope, folks. That homeless person will have hope. So please, don't judge him. Help them as much as you can, and God will richly bless you. I promise you that. I promise you that. I guarantee you that. So on this note, folks, I want to wish you all the best, no matter where you are and what stage in your life. I hope this message has helped you find some peace, some direction in life. Find that agape love that everybody's talking about. That God, that love that surpasses all understanding that the Bible calls. And write to us. Support us. Support any other ministry of your choice. Support every homeless person that you see on the street, please. Let's make this world a better place together. Okay? And may the love of God, the wonderful agape love, be with you all the days of your life. In my usual benediction, may the angels of God guard you, protect you, and give you peace. And most importantly, I truly hope to see you at the very top on the other side. Take care. God bless you. And see you soon. In the eyes of eternity, we only have about 5 minutes on this planet that we're given, approximately, in the eyes of eternity. Most of us are over 30, so that means we spent half of that time. So we have about 2.5 minutes left, so to speak. Knowing that we're on a spiritual path, what would you say should be our focus? That we have the remaining 2.5 minutes left now that we're evolved enough to understand more or less who we are, where we are, and what our path should be.
I'd say your focus? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, focus would probably be to just admit your wrongs, to know what you've done wrong, and try to accept that, and know that you created those issues. You know, to know that you're sorry for them and repent. You know, tell God that you're sorry, and tell Him that you've always known but you didn't do, and so therefore you're sorry for that, for not being the best that you possibly could be, and that you hope that He forgives you. You know, I would say that's in 2.5 minutes, because you only got 2.5 minutes. You really ain't got much time to do much.
Yeah.
You know, 2.5 minutes goes by pretty quick.
Yeah.
I would say your best option is to just pray and tell God you know that you've done wrong and that you're sorry, and just repent and say that if life does continue on, you know, that you'll try to do better. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at in life right now. Is I know the past life I lived, and I'm trying to do better. I mean, I just want to be a good husband and a good father someday. That's what it comes down to. And so I don't want to be a bad one. So I've got to be a better person and a better man altogether for whenever I do find a woman that would possibly want that, you know, to have a family. So it's yeah, it's just really day by day.
Welcome to another episode of Agape Ministries, and today I decided to take you to a grocery store, as you can see. And the reason for that is because this is actually a supplemental tool to our ministry, because we do weekly dining experience for the homeless and for the widows. And folks, I highly encourage you to do the same. So we have a list. Everything is about the same. This approximately represents home-cooked meals for about 30 widows or homeless people. And again, we do this weekly. So if you don't have this opportunity to do it at your church or your mosque or your synagogue or Buddhist temple, no matter what the denomination or your belief system, you can actually get together with your friends and do a very similar cookout. I highly recommend, because many, you just have to get inside the head of many widows who lost their husbands. They've lost their identity practically, and I know this through my own experience. When my father died, my mother was devastated for more than just one obvious reason, and it's a very complex process. So this ministry is very dear to my heart, and I highly suggest that everyone would sort of find a way to help all the widows out there, invite them over for a home-cooked meal and explore this kind of experience. Again, if you're part of a group, it will be easy for you to reach out to your group and get everybody together. And women, if you're watching this, get your husbands involved, because men are, unfortunately, in our group we only have 3 men and 11 women. So just get your husbands involved, women, if you're watching this. Now, as far as this this is just an example. This represents about $200 worth of groceries that will feed about 30 widows. And again, this is a weekly event. I highly recommend that you do the same. And if you're unable to get together with a group, or if you don't have a group that you belong to, you can actually participate and show your kindness and agape love by simply participating in our ministry. Now you might ask, Pastor Sam, how am I supposed to do that? Well, it's very simple. On your screen, you will see a QR code that you can scan and donate any amount that you wish that will go towards this ministry. If you don't know how to scan, you can simply click on the link below the QR code and you will be taken to a secure page where you can donate safely any amount you wish from the bottom of your heart. That will go again towards this weekly ministry that we have here. So that will be your way of showing your kindness, your agape love, and be part of our family, if you will. And God truly wants all of us to show such kindness and open their hearts to the widows everywhere around the world. You see, you could be part of a Christian church or a Muslim mosque or a Jewish synagogue or a Buddhist temple. It doesn't make any difference what God you believe in, as long as you believe in a God and a creator of this universe that put us here on this planet for this very reason, so we may be helping each other any way we can. So as you can see, I can, even without a pulpit, I can give a sermon even in a grocery store, folks. But the point of this message, I wanted you to see just how easy it is, how simple it is. And if you're unable to participate in this type of event and get together all the widows and the homeless people, you could still do that without leaving your home. If you just have a desire to do that, to show your kindness by participating in our ministry, by donating electronically through the website. Just scan the QR code or click on the link below, and most importantly, just give from the heart. Our income levels are very different, and so it doesn't make any difference what amount. As long as you give from the heart, God will richly bless you. I promise you that. Again, as long as you give from the heart, that's all that matters. We're all one big family of human beings on this planet, and we need each other. And this is why, once again, I'm doing this partly in memory of my mother, and I just intimately know what she's been through and how many widows out there are neglected, even by their children. You know, thank God my brother was a little bit closer to her, but the point is, widows need this kindness and connection, and having this. It's not just a dining experience. It's not just dinner. It's a one-on-one conversation. We sit down and we listen to what they have to share with us. We listen to their stories, and that probably prolongs their lifespan, folks. I'll be honest with you. Without this kind of a connection, widows are suffering. So I highly, again, Pastor Sam could go on and on, but the point is, I highly suggest and recommend that you get together with your group, whatever group you belong to, and form this ministry to take care of all the widows in your area. I'm sure through the right channels you can find them, and find a way to sort of show your kindness. Our ministry would be one way to do it if you don't have any other outlets. So on this note, may my usual benediction, may the Lord richly bless you. May He send His angels to guard you and protect you and keep you safe in everything you do. Take care. God bless you, and I hope to see you at the very top.
You must have God in your life. If you let God in, changes will happen. Things will become different. miracles will happen, positivity will come, you'll gain way more than just try it. Try a little faith, try a little belief, try a little prayer. Get together with people that believe in that, and it's like you'll see. You've got to give it a try. Best I can say. God is real. He does miracles in your life. God is real. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And He's changed me. And yeah, please turn to God. Let go and let God.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, Brother Scott, this is our brotherly love here. This is how the world operates. We're documenting a miracle that just is happening, has happened tonight. Yes. And you're in agreement with that. I'm
absolutely
in agreement with that.
There's like I said, this feeling. This is different than. It's not about the money you gave me. It's not. There's a different. Yeah. It's like the lights went on, and it's like I got a prayer answered. I cannot explain it other than that. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it.